Okay, this time we are going to assemble a tandem spinnerbait. We've got our half-ounce pre-painted head here. We've got our skirt. This one will be a red and black bait with tandem nickel-plated Colorado hammered blades. So for a tandem spinnerbait we need a few more components. We don't just need a single blade with a swivel, a head, and a skirt. We also need the second blade. We need this little piece here called a clevis. Hopefully you can see that. And we're going to need some of these little hollow nickel-plated metal beads. See if I can put this back here without it rolling away. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to do is we are going to, on a tandem spinnerbait, we need to put the secondary blade on first. And the way that happens is, and this is a mistake that I made when I first started building spinnerbaits years ago. There's a concave side and there's a convex side. This kind of cups up and this cups in. When you put this blade onto this shaft, you have to make sure that the side that's rounded up, not the side that's rounded in, but the side that's rounded up, that side goes onto the spinnerbait first. So we'll take our clevis. This is called a stirrup clevis, and what we'll do is we'll slide that through the hole in the blade. So now we've got the blade hanging on the clevis. So now we need to make sure that we have, again, the side that's rounded up. That side is going to go onto the spinnerbait wire first. So we'll take this here, we slide the spinnerbait wire through the first hole in the clevis and then the second hole in the clevis, and that slides on just like that. Now typically what I like to do, I don't always do it, but most times I will, and I'll show you this case here where I will do it. I'll usually slide one single bead on there first. It doesn't have to be done this way, but this is the way I prefer to do it. So we'll slide the bead on first. Now we'll come back and we'll get our blade with our clevis, and we'll slide the wire through the clevis. So now you can see we have a bead and the clevis with the blade on it. Then the next step that we take is to take another bead and we slide that bead onto the wire, and then a third bead that will slide onto the wire. Okay, so now we have, you can see here, we have a bead, a clevis with a blade, and then two more beads. So that's the beginning of our tandem spin. Now the next thing that we want to do, from here on out, it behaves just like putting a single spin spinnerbait together. So we grab our wire and we put a good size bend in it. You see the bend, hopefully you can see that right there. And then we'll take our swivel and we will slide the swivel onto that bend. You see that's on there now. And now I'll finish that bend so that the swivel won't go anywhere. So we just bend that up and make sure that it's nested tightly up against the other wire so the swivel isn't going to come flying off. Then we open the snap on the swivel and we take our blade and we slide that on there. We close the snap, and remember we give it the little firm squeeze here to make sure that the snap doesn't come flying open and let our blade come flying off. Now I want to explain one thing. Some people tend to use swivels that don't have the snap on them. They have a split ring here and a split ring here. I don't even bother buying those. I prefer to use the swivels with the snaps on them just because they make it a lot easier to assemble the bait. They also make it easier later on if you want to change that blade. You can literally do it in about 5 or 10 seconds versus having to sit there and slide the blade through a split ring. So let's go ahead and get the skirt on here and we'll finish up our bait. So you can see we've got the long end of the skirt. Again, in case you haven't watched the other video, I'll show you that the skirts have a long end and a short end. You see this is the short end and this is the long end. So we hold the skirt with the long end up and we let it flutter down. Just kind of shake it a little bit to smooth things out and get it evened out. Slide the hook through the skirt collar. Again, making sure you're not to stick yourself in the process. And then slide the skirt collar up over the collar on the spinnerbait and press it in there a little bit to make sure the skirt is even. And there we go. Now we have a finished tandem spin spinnerbait that's ready to go out there and catch fish. And that's all there is to it. You can see again we've got the few extra components up here. And so these components here would be the difference between the single spin and the tandem spin. So hope that helps you out. Hope you enjoyed it. And be sure to check out our stuff at lureparts.com. And we'll see you around. Good luck fishing. Thanks.